Gaylord Armstrong graciously accepted an offer to be tail twister and try to help us reimagine the role. And we're glad that Gaylord is able to continue on the board in this role. Then we are electing 3 two-year directors. And we have 3 recommendations for those 2-year terms. First is Chuck Mandelbaum, whom you know as our Zoom host. Rachel Reed, who joined the club in 2019. Rachel has been active behind the scenes with a lot of our community vision activities, and she's also helped us out at Meals on Wheels. And then the other person that we're recommending is Siva Sankar Venkadaru. And I hope I didn't mess his name up too bad. Siva is, we've seen him on Zoom recently. He also has been involved in some volunteer activities. So those are the folks that will be on the ballot. In addition, we have some board members continuing, and we have 3 directors who were elected last year for 1-year terms. So they still have a year remaining on their terms. And that includes John Niefler, Sam Ruiz, and Kim Wright. Those people will be filling out the remaining year of their term. And then of course, Rudy will become immediate past president. And so, Mr. President, that concludes my report.
Well, thank you so much, Ann, and to all the committee members that worked on this, and thank you for your time and your effort. And so we are I am accepting the report from the nominating committee. According to the Constitution, there is an opportunity for nominations from the floor that will be open a week from today, next Thursday's Lions Club meeting. For those that may feel like there are others in our Lions Club that would be worthy of consideration for one of these offices, then that will be the opportunity to provide that information. But with this consideration, please contact anyone you're considering to nominate beforehand and receive their approval that their name could be put into nomination. So again, thank you to Ann and to the committee for this report. And so we are ready to proceed then with our agenda. And I'm going to move right into our time for our program and our speaker. And it's time for Greg to introduce our program and speaker. So Greg, if you will, please.
Sure. Thank you, Rudy. I think we met her a little bit as we started the meeting, and she shared some of how we met. But I had the pleasure of meeting our speaker last May when I visited the Leader Dog for the Blinds campus to pick up future Leader Dog Daisy. And even with their offices officially closed down due to the pandemic, Beth, masked and 6 feet away, mind you, took the time to come out to the parking lot and meet and visit with us. Of course, we had a very cute 7-week-old puppy with us at the time, but Beth was keen to encourage a first-time Leader Dog puppy raiser family, and at that time, a prospective new Lion. I've seen Beth in several Zoom meetings since then, and in addition to being a simply delightful person and an engaging and enthusiastic speaker, Beth has the innate ability to light up a room, even a virtual one, with her presence. Her smile is infectious, and she always makes you feel like you're both talking with a new friend. I am pleased to introduce and welcome my friend, Lion Beth Slade.
Thank you, Lion Greg. That was really nice. I am really thrilled to be here. I'll come anytime you guys want. Like I said, I didn't take any kind of plane ticket or anything like that. Greg, you're going to be my timer. You're in charge of that. And I have to tell you, while we're talking about your elections. I've got another screen right here, so I was watching them. My club, we just had our nominations last night. Lion Ann, it did not look like that presentation whatsoever. That was phenomenal. And I don't think we have anybody worthy of that kind of promotion. So that was beautiful. I'm really impressed with your club. So with that said, I'm Beth Slade. I'm a director of philanthropy for Lions Engagement, which means my team, I am a Lion. My team stewards Lions clubs all over the country, Canada, Mexico, and Spain. So we have a couple of Lions out there. We know a little bit about Lionism, and we're all Lions. So that's what my team does. We are, as you know, are being joined by some puppy raisers as well, who also happen to be Lions. And so today I'm just going to briefly go over our history with Lions, a little bit about the campus, who we serve, how we serve. Phyllis and Wink, who are up in the screen right now, are going to be giving a little demonstration, and then how we partner with Lions. So we have a lot of information, and then we'll take questions at the end. So with that said, I'm going to share my screen.
You have to go to view.
And yeah, if you go to speaker view, I think that probably might be your best. Let me move this over here. Can you see my screen? That adorable puppy that you all just did? I have to tell you, that auction was phenomenal. That was really good. We've got some work for him to do up here. So welcome to Leader Dogs for the Blind. So Lions and Leader Dog. Over 80 years ago, there were 3 local Lions that are pictured on the screen right now, who had another colleague who was losing his sight. And Dr. Glenn Wheeler, the only guide dog organization in the country at the time, he couldn't get into. So what do we do as Lions? We see a need and we fill a need. So they contacted a local breeder and said, can you train dogs to do this kind of guide dog work? And he said, yeah. And they said, well, then can you train the people? So with that, we started our very first class. And these are our 3 founding fathers. One of them happened to go on to become, they all became district governors, but past international president S.A. Dodge, he went on to become international president of Lions. So a grand group from our grassroots to an internationally renowned organization. So the first class went really well. They said, we want to keep doing this. They went about, I would say 40 miles north of Detroit and found a farm, a pretty rural area in Rochester, Michigan. In Michigan, we can do the mitten right about there. And that's the farmhouse that we were still on the same farm where we were over 80 years ago. It looks a little different. The picture on the left is the original farmhouse that everybody lived in. The clients, the trainers, the staff, everyone stayed in that one house. We look much different today, but we're still in the same spot. So this is a picture of our Canine Development Center. It's one of 2 buildings on the campus. It's about 100,000 square feet. At any time, it can host up to almost 450 dogs. We usually have about 150 to 180 on campus at any time. And I always say the only place on campus that smells like a dog is my office, which is not in that building. It's because we can take our own personal dogs in. So that building doesn't smell that way. So we have everything that you need to take care of that many dogs. We have a full service veterinary clinic with 2 full-time veterinarians. As a matter of fact, Dr. Smith, I think, just celebrated 45 years with Leader Dog. Everything that they need. We also have a separate residential hall where all of our clients stay. So just to kind of give you an idea, if you come to campus, which once we open up, you're all invited. So here's your pop quiz. This is a picture of one of our first classes in 1939. What was the first breed of dog we used at Leader Dogs for the Blind? And there is not one on this Zoom call.
Oh, careful.
There's one, there are 2 in the picture. They were Doberman Pinschers. Those were our first guide dogs that we used. So now today we use Labradors, Golden Retrievers, and German Shepherds, and sometimes we cross them. Which we have a cross on today. So who is it that we serve? I always talk about this because this is who we serve as Lions, right? We're Knights of the Blind. We have 1.3 million people in the United States who are considered legally blind. And we know that number's low because it's self-reporting. And all of us sitting on here with glasses, how many want to raise their hand to go, oh yeah, my vision's getting worse? A lot of people don't self-report that. Every year, 75,000 more people become visually impaired. So as Lions and at Leader Dog and other guide dog organizations, We have a lot of work to do. And speaking of which, I'll say it right now, because I know you guys have Guide Dogs of Texas who we work with as well. It's not a competition, it's a collaboration. We have 1.3 million people to serve. So we do that quite friendly. So out of that 1.3 million people, we know that only 10% travel independently. That means they're not holding on to somebody or even just staying at home. So we know if we can train more people, this number goes up. The number of unemployed or underemployed people goes down. The number of people living with depression and people can return to work. They can take care of themselves and their families and be a participant in their communities. So we want this number to go up. So how do we do it? We have 3 programs. Obviously, we've got our guide dog program, which we might pause on. There we go. We have 3 programs. So we have our guide dog program. Does everyone know the difference between a guide dog and a service dog? I always go through this. So a service dog has to provide a task for the person that they're with. Maybe turn on a light, open a door, pick something up off the floor. A guide dog is a service dog that is trained specifically to help people who are blind or visually impaired get from point A to point B. And I just simplified that. So with that said, all guide dogs are service dogs. Not all service dogs are guide dogs. Did you get that? All guide dogs are service dogs. Not all service dogs are guide dogs. We only train guide dogs. There are other organizations that train other types of service dogs, maybe PTSD response, diabetic response. We don't train those, strictly guide dogs. So with that program, we have many different ways that we deliver it. Most of our clients come to us on campus for about 21 days. The second day they're there, they are handed over their dog and that they've already been pre-matched with, and their training starts. They go through every kind of environment. They walk in town, they walk out in the country where there's sidewalks and where there aren't. They go to the mall, they try escalators and elevators, anything that they're going to come across when they go back home. They want the dog and the client to be able to have a problem-solving situation of many types of environments. So we also realized that there are a whole lot of people who were applying for a guide dog who didn't have that basic travel skills. So the dogs will get you someplace safely, but you can't just lean in and say, Sparky, I need you to take me to Starbucks, because we didn't train them where all the Starbucks are. You have to know where you're going. So you have to know, did I just go 5 blocks, 6 blocks? You can pattern a dog to know where to go, but you have to make sure that you're staying on track as well. That's basic white cane training. International symbol of a white cane also came from a lion, by the way. So we started a 1-week course for orientation and mobility. A lot of people can get O&M, is what it's usually called. They can get O&M in their home areas, but that department, the Department of Blind and Visually Impaired, may have an enormous caseload, or people might not be eligible for it. Here's a good example, and I've run across it many, many times. We just had a gentleman from Florida who said he was 51, he is 51, and he had lost his vision enough that he had to retire early. And he called his local agency for the blind, and he said, I'd like to get some white cane training. And they said, at 51, you're a bit old to be able to enter back into the workplace, so you're not eligible for white cane training. Find a white cane, find some people who are blind, and they can teach you, which doesn't give you a whole warm, fuzzy feeling if you're about to cross an intersection, that you just learned how to do that on YouTube. So we offer this up. We work in conjunction with the local agencies. So if you know of any, please let us know who your contacts are. We'll contact them. They can come to us for sort of a 1-week boot camp. They try navigating inside, outside. The difference between walking with a white cane and a guide dog, and quite frankly, I hate to say this, but a dog might not be for everybody or every situation. So a white cane is very tactile. You have to touch something to know that it's there, right? You see people tapping back and forth. They're looking for the obstacle. What is it? A guide dog does the opposite. It immediately takes you around obstacles that you may have never known were there. And I use the example that we have a client who's also a lion, by the way, who was in between guide dogs. And so she was using her cane, and she went to Walmart to her pharmacy, and she was using her cane to get through the store. And she called me and she said, do you have any idea how many obstacles there are in the aisle at Walmart? And I laughed and I said, no, I'd never thought about it. And she goes, neither had I. Because her dog used to navigate her around everything. All she had to say was, go find the pharmacy. And he would take her right there. He was patterned. But with a cane, you can't pattern the cane. So you actually have to touch something, figure out what it is, and go around it. So, but it is basic travel skills. So that's something that we also teach as a 1-week course. And then our third program, which works also, I know you guys have the Texas Lions Camp, and I'm very familiar with it. And I'm about to go for cleanup day at our Lions Bear Lake Camp, as a matter of fact, is our summer experience for teens. So you guys know we're Lions, we love leadership. This is a group of kids, 16 and 17-year-olds. A lot of time they might be the only kids in their school district or their school who have a visual impairment, and they're often overlooked for leadership opportunities. So we bring them up to us, even from Texas. They come up to us for a week-long summer experience where they get to do the ropes course at our Lions Camp. They get to do a lot of GPS work, how to work with a handheld GPS. And being that they're teenagers, they teach us a few things. And they also get to test drive a guide dog. So it's really a fun week. This past year, we took it virtual. So we got to have even more kids involved. So that was a lot of fun. So those are our 3 programs. The Leader Dog Impact, generally, in most years, we issue about 200 leader dogs. We provide white cane training for about 100 people. 24 kids can come to our camp. That's what we're licensed for when it's in person. And we usually have between 6 or 11 clients that are specifically deaf blind. And those dogs are trained specifically to work with people who are deaf and blind. So think Helen Keller. And the biggest number is what it costs our clients, which is a giant 0, because we fundraise. Everything we do, we're 100% philanthropically funded. So we don't receive government funding. Insurance doesn't cover this. And we do not charge a fee to our clients. And we haven't had to do that in our 80 years, which is really great. So pat yourselves on the back because you guys are a huge part of that. And we're really proud of that fact. So I thought I'd throw in here a little Texas snapshot, even though I know we've got Maine on board. Is Terry still here? Terry, I used to live in Maine, actually. We were stationed there. So I'm a big fan of Maine. But in Texas, we have right now 42 active leader dogs in Texas. These are some pictures of some clients, actually. Oh, I've got a great story on here. 42 active leader dogs. We have placed over 463. I say over, because if somebody lived in Texas and moved, then their number goes with them. So if you put by today's number on there and you do Beth's math, 463 leader dogs comes out to about $21.2 million worth of services just in guide dogs that have been provided free to the people of Texas. So that's a pretty good return on investment, my friends. We trained 31 people in orientation and mobility, and we've had 11 campers. And there's a picture of a young woman holding a puppy, and she's got a stethoscope on, and she has a lion's vest on. So I told you that we have 2 veterinarians. One of the veterinarians called me up and she said, hey, I have an intern who's here and she's a lion. And I said, you're kidding me. And I said, I'm running over, and I was on my way to Texas, actually. And I ran over and she was so excited to meet me. She was the president of her campus club, I think in El Paso. And I said, I had to take your picture because I'm going to Texas. And she said, do you want me to go get my vest? And I was like, heck yeah, I want you to go get your vest. So this is a pretty cool connection. So Lions are not only puppy raisers, you guys get the word out for us, but you're also veterinary interns. So I think that's pretty cool. So with that, I am going to pause. I am going to invite Vice District Governor Phyllis Krebs on with future leader dog Wink to give us a little. Phyllis, I'm going to stop my screen share. Phyllis, are you there? Oh, Phyllis, is, okay, they're doing platform work. There we are.
Yeah.
Hold it. Greg, how are we doing on time?
I was just going to say, while we're making the transition, we have about 10 minutes, I think, before we need to start wrapping up.
All right.
Okay.
Okay, well, this is future leader dog Wink, and as Lion Greg mentioned, she is 19 weeks old today. I've had her since she was 7 weeks old. She is a German Shepherd Lab cross, and that's kind of an interesting program that Leader Dogs is trying now. And as a puppy raiser, she is my 13th puppy, but you know, every dog has their own personality. And especially when you have a German Shepherd Lab cross, that kind of amplifies. Future leader dog Wink is very vocal, and I'm told that that is from the German Shepherd side. But my function as a puppy raiser is to eventually provide back to leader dogs a well-socialized, well-mannered dog that the professional trainers there can take through the training to become a guide dog. I start out with very basic skills, which is housebreaking, of course, that's very important. That kind of begins in the puppy home where they're born. I also work on sit, which also starts with when the puppy is still with the litter. And I just encourage that as we go along. I add stand and down. Yes. And I teach them to walk on leash, eventually into the heel position, and to do a lot of other specialized skills. The platform that you see that she is working on is something that we use in a couple of different ways. We use it to teach them to step up on it. It helps to bring them into the correct position for heel position, which is at my side. It also teaches them to eventually begin learning curb work because they're going to have to step up onto the curb. If I turn it the other way, it helps to get them into the proper alignment at my side for them to stand straight when they are in harness. That is important. She doesn't get a treat until she gets it right. Come. Wink. Get your feet up there. Come on. Come on. She keeps falling off the board. Okay, sit. Now she's in perfect alignment at my side in the heel position. So we reinforce that by providing positive reinforcement with a treat and the marker word yes. Good girl. Okay. Wink down. Down. Yes. And she's fallen off the board, but she did down, so I will give her a treat. Other things that we need to do while I have her with me, which is from 7 to 8 weeks until they're about, normally pre-COVID times was about 15 months of age, is to expose them to society, just a basic socialization. They need to meet as many different people, as many different dogs and situations as possible, because we never know where the client is going to go. Wink. And obviously being a lion, they're going to attend a lot of meetings. So we want a dog that's going to settle well and easily, remain quiet during the meetings. We take them to restaurants. Wink. Come. She's not done with her mat, she says. Down. So we have a mat that we take with us just about everywhere to get them, to teach them to settle in different locations. We take them to church, we take them to restaurants, anything that a client may potentially take them to or experience with them. Car travel, train travel, bus travel, anything that we can possibly do to provide experiences so that when the client gets the dog's like, oh, I've seen that, no big deal, I'm good. Anything else you want me to add, Beth?
Phyllis, where have some of your dogs gone? What have been some of their paths?
What placement?
Yeah.
Okay, I've had one. My first one that was placed went to Spain. I have one currently working in Mexico City, Mexico, with a delightful lady. We still keep in touch. She doesn't speak English. I don't speak Spanish, but Instagram is a great equalizer.
This is true.
Videos all the time. I have one in South Dakota with an Army veteran. I have one in Minnesota, and one of my dogs went to the breeding program and produced 4 litters of puppies, of which I got to raise 2 of her offspring. So that was pretty fun. And actually, the dog that is in Mexico City is one of Chanel's puppies.
So we're always looking for volunteer puppy raisers. All of our puppy raisers are volunteer. We have what we call outside raisers. We also have inside raisers. We have a prison puppy initiative as well. So thank you, Phyllis and Greg, and also Jeff, who are our volunteer puppy raisers, along with about 450 others. Always looking if you've got a lot of time on your hands, and we've got some pretty good people for you to talk to about that. And we'll just wrap up. Thank you guys very much for that. It's always nice to have a demonstration. Every time I show up, people are like, don't you have a dog? And I'm like, no, but I can bring one. So back to, we're just gonna wrap things up here. How you guys can help as clubs, as individuals. We always say spread the word. Phyllis just said that Instagram is a great equalizer. We're on every type of social media. Share it. Anything that we do, please share, vice versa, get it out there. And I can also guarantee there's a picture on the left of a really cute puppy in harness with a blindfold on. We also have lots of cute puppy pictures. If you just need to go on and get your puppy fix, we've got that, but also some really great client stories. So I always say that because I work on campus, I'm a lion who gets to see an immediate end result. You guys don't always get to see that. You know, you do a whole lot of work for the people that you serve, and you never really get to see sometimes the end result. And I think that's important. So please go online on our website, leaderdog.org. There are lots of client stories on there. So you can see when you're standing out there in the blazing hot sun, or you're doing your sporting clays, what does that go to? So other things, connect us with local agencies. I think you all said, do you all meet at a local school for the blind? Is that where you guys meet?
Yes.
Because I think we've got a connection with them. Always make sure, post brochures around town. We've got them for free. Greg can get them for you. Stick them all up. We've got lots of them in the library next to the large print section. Put them up in the grocery store. If you can find a push pin, put it up there. They're about 1/3 of a page long. They have the Lions logo on there as well, and what our services are, because just like Lions, if they don't know what we do, they're not going to know that there's an organization that's free just up the street from them. And of course, the last thing I'm going to say is fundraise, because we can't do this without charging, without your support. So just some things. We've had a lot of obviously non-event fundraisers coming on. You can support us individually through Roundup, Amazon Smiles, the Roundup app. We've had a lot of clubs. As a matter of fact, the Atlanta, Georgia club, one of them, just did a Facebook fundraiser and raised $2,000 on their Facebook fundraiser. So that's a great non-event. We also have a program called Dollars for Dogs. These are little, I don't know if you can see that or not. They're little, I put it right where my face is. They're paper dog tags, and you can have businesses sign up and they can sort of sell dog tags. It's not an event. You don't have to worry about everybody coming together. And guess what? You guys get the credit for what that business raises. So you didn't have to actually raise the money. You didn't actually have to write the check, nor did the business. So these are dog tags that come in $1, $5, and $20 donation increments. And then the business can stick them up at their location, because I know y'all are open back up down there. So we've got those kits for free as well. So just some ideas. recognition, we have puppy sponsorships available, founders tributes, bricks naming opportunities on campus. Just a few things. If you guys like to give recognition, you can have a win-win situation there. And with that, I think, Greg, did we do okay? Are we on time? Oh, we managed. So with that, I want to say thank you. This is a picture of a very good friend of mine. He is a Lion. He's a veteran, a Marine veteran. His name is Bill Graham. And this is a picture of him in warm weather training, which is down in Florida. Well, it was walking with his leader dog. And it's such a great picture. And so I just want to say thank you guys. Thank you for everything that you do from one Lion to another. And if there's anything, like I said, as soon as we open up, come on up and visit us. We're straight up the road, straight up there. If you get in your car and you get out in like, I don't know how many hours, Greg, it's just one turn here in Texas. That's it.
It's a bit of a trip. But Phyllis will give you an overnight place on the way.
Phyllis and her husband, Phil, for more miles on our campus from Missouri.
Our car knows the way.
Yeah. So any questions? I went through that kind of fast. I could go on for days, but
yeah. Well, let me extend my thank you, Lion Beth. A wonderful presentation, and so that and Wink. Thank you to Wink for the contribution.
Lion Terry, did your dog and Tommy, did your dogs learn anything with Wink up on the screen? Tommy,
tried my best. Etta was very, very interested in Wink, but she also wanted the treats. That was a wonderful presentation. That was wonderful.
Just so you know, the staff is just as food motivated as those dogs.
I put my lab on the screen. I don't know if you saw him. He's 4.5 years old.
Yeah.
He's gone through obedience training, and I taught him the retriever training. So he is qualified to go out and catch a duck.
Excellent. Excellent. That's really hard for our dogs not to do.
Yeah.
Exactly. Labs have a retriever mentality with the day they're born, and it never goes away.
Yes.
That and chewing shoes is about all he does.
And we fight that battle constantly.
Yeah.
I just have one question of Greg. We haven't seen Daisy.
Well, I knew I would be busy, and actually she's in here though, but she's been busy. I don't know if I can get my camera over to where she is. She's hiding behind the desk because she has a treat back there. Where'd she go? Well,
she's probably busy doing your taxes for you.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Beth,
It's another service we train.
Yeah, Beth, do you have, we're gonna, I want to thank you again for the presentation, but after we adjourn here in a couple of minutes, would you be available for just a little bit longer if there was an extra question, please?
Absolutely. Happy to do
Okay.
it.
Well, thank you. So if you'll excuse us or just kind of stay where everything is, and I'll return to the agenda, and then we will adjourn and we'll come back for questions. So let me do that. For next week's program, let me ask Ann. Ann, are you there? And could you tell us about next week's program, please?
Yes, next week we have Jane Edmond, Dr. Jane Edmond from the UT Health, Dell Medical School. She's chair of ophthalmology, and she's going to talk about 3 conditions that I think most of us are familiar with: glaucoma, dry eye syndrome, and macular degeneration. And she's going to talk about those and especially what they mean to older adults. And you women in the group and men, you want to listen to, because it applies to your wives and your other female relatives. But women are at higher risk for those 3 eye conditions. And Jane is going to talk to us about why and how to detect it and different kinds of treatment. So please join us next week.
All right, thank you. Yeah, we look forward to that. And before closing, I was reminded by Wink that since Wink is having a kind of a birthday, that I need to go back and announce some birthdays also. So let me say that on March the 19th, happy birthday to Bill Hanks. On March the 20th to Stephen Ballas, happy birthday. And on March 22nd to Dr. Richard Berkowitz. So thank you to, thank you. I wanna also recognize that each of these, to Alan Ford for bringing in Bill Hanks as a member, to Sam Reese for bringing in Stephen as a member, and to Tommy Cowan for bringing in Dr. Cowitz to our club as a member. So, and of course, the star Wink, recognizing again, did you say 17 weeks or 19 weeks?
19 weeks.
19 weeks. Okay, well, a youngster, you might say. So, so happy birthday in any case. And a special thanks to our emergency host, Chuck. Chuck, thank you for filling in so ably.
Really well.
And yes, and Chuck, we
apologize. I forgot you guys have changed your time, and I forgot that I was gonna be 1 hour late. So thank you, Chuck, and sorry, everybody.
Oh, well, I'm glad to hear you, Leonor. We were a little concerned. So glad that you're on. So with this, there not being anything else on the agenda, and we are at that point. So Beth has agreed to stay on a little bit longer for questions. So those that have questions, please stay on. But for right now, we are going to say this meeting is adjourned. Y'all take care then. Okay, anyone that would like to stay on and have a question for Beth, if you will go ahead, unmute yourself and ask your question, please.
Rudy will stay on as long as they have questions.
I
Okay.
love questions. Just so you know, I love questions.
Okay.
I have a question. So if you want to become a guide dog trainer, what does that require?
That's a really good question. So to become it's called a guide dog mobility instructor. It's an actual profession. We have standards. So we're members of the International Guide Dog Federation. And actually, to become a guide dog mobility instructor, it's a 3-year paid apprenticeship on our campus. It's a position that you apply for, and then it's a 3-year on-the-job paid apprenticeship. You have modules that you have to go through that are both taught on the job, and also educational aspects of it that you have to study and pass certain tests. And our GDMI apprenticeship program, like I said, it's 3 years, full-time 3 years, we presented it at the International Guide Dog Federation, I think 2 years ago. And so now they're mirroring what we do at Leader Dog. So it's a full-time career. That's for a guide dog mobility instructor. Now we have volunteer puppy raisers, and Greg and Phyllis can talk more to that, because that's an at-home, and you have manuals and certain guideposts that your dogs have to meet as they go along. So we have a volunteer position as a puppy raiser, and then we have the professional position of a guide dog mobility instructor. And when those positions are open, those are posted on our website. But the cool thing is, once you're a GDMI, you can live anywhere in the world and work at a guide dog organization.
Well,
So are you saying that you live there for 3 years?
Yeah, it's a full-time, yes, it's a full-time on our campus position, because that's of course where the dogs are. So we have 5 teams of GDMIs, and each one has about 5 people on it. So they'll pick up a string of dogs and work them together, and they might have an apprentice on their team. And this team here will then pick up the next string of dogs, and they might have an apprentice as well. Right now, I think we probably have 4 apprentices on our guide dog teams. So we probably have probably about 25 or 30 GDMIs on campus. And then we have several who have been GDMIs for years, and they live across the country, and they will go do home deliveries of dogs, and also any kind of touch-up work that the dogs might need. Mm-hmm.
So to be a puppy raiser, who do you contact?
You can contact our puppy development team at Leader Dog. Actually, I would suggest going on the website first, and there's a whole bunch of information go into volunteer and raise a puppy. There are also some pretty cute videos in there too. And that'll give you some background information of what to expect.
I have a question.
You can also give me I'm showing the dog. You can also give me a call and I'll tell you more about it and get you in touch with the folks for puppy raising.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, you've got one of the best resources right there in your club. Roberto, Lion Roberto.
Okay. I know you said that there are dogs in Mexico and Spain, so I guess you teach them bilingual instructions, or how does that work?
That's a good question. And this isn't a snarky response, but they don't know English either.
But
So they know tone. They respond a lot. Here's a pretty good example. And Greg and Phyllis and Jeff, I don't know if you guys have heard this or not. We just career changed a dog that got all the way through his puppy raiser, all the way through guide dog. It's 4 months once they come back with their GDMIs. And he was already matched with a client. And one of the staff in the canine center said, there's something about that dog. Come to find out, he was totally deaf. The dog was deaf.
Wow.
And went all the way through this program, all the way through, and was ready to be issued as a guide dog and couldn't hear a thing. So the answer to your question is, this dog figured it out. He knew the hand signals, which if we have clients who have dogs who are deafblind, of course, they don't always use their voice. They'll use hand signals. And he just knew by the hand signals that they use what was expected of him. And he figured it out. So it doesn't matter what language they were trained in. They figure it out. Now, we do have international students who come who don't speak English, the humans, and they will bring a interpreter, a translator with them, interpreter. And actually the Lions of Spain and the Lions of Mexico usually help out with that.
So you teach them sign language, okay?
If they're for deafblind. But for any of the dogs, and Greg and Phyllis might be able to show, once they're into guide dog work and they're in their harness, if you're going to say, left, you're going to move your hand that way or that way that you want the dog to go. So it's a combination.
Good. Thank you.
You're very welcome. And there was Gaylord, Lion Gaylord, I think you had your hand up from the very beginning.
Yes, I've had a very bad connection. In fact, I may lose you again in the middle of our Q&A, but great presentation. I have a great appreciation of what you've done, because of friends that have been blind and used leader dogs. And firstly, and I was your family that died off of dogs leading us through. At any rate, it's critical in the life. I may have missed this, but at what age do you start training the puppies? And typically at what age are the puppies?
Gaylord, you're freezing, but I'm going to guess you want to know about the ages. And it's a shame that you clicked out there because I gave the winning lottery ticket numbers. So that's, so the age of the puppies. So
I lost you.
Okay, you're frozen up on my end. Did anybody else hear him well?
No.
Okay, I think he wanted to know about the.
I apologize for having lost you. I was going to ask at what age of the puppies begin?
I think it's what age is the puppies at the different I'll say the different developmental stages. So when they're about 6 or 7 weeks.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm not hearing you.
From the breeding host home, they're born in a volunteer's home. At about 6 weeks, they come back to us on campus for about a week. Then they go home with their volunteer puppy raisers for 12 to 14 months. And then they come back to us for 4 months of training before they're issued. So when you start to add that all up, what does that come up to? Like that's 7 months, 2, yeah. So by the time they're issued. What, Phyllis, were you adding to that?
I said it added up to 18 months by the time they're issued. I will also add that they're actually start training when they're about 3 weeks old in the breeding host family where they're born, because they start feeding them and they don't get to eat until they sit or sit for attention. So
You would
we
be
build on
amazed.
that.
Yeah, they will, when they come back to us at 6 weeks, those little puppies are starting to learn that they won't get picked up and they won't get fed until they sit, and they figure it out pretty fast. So, but they're usually about 18 months by the time they're issued to our clients. So hopefully you could hear that. If not, somebody please fill him in afterwards. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Beth, I was wondering, do you
Yeah,
have,
I think I've just got the end. I got the end of what you had said, Phyllis.
Okay.
Beth,
Yes,
do you have
Greg?
just briefly, what impact has the pandemic had on your budget, fundraising, operations?
It's that's a really good question. Thanks, Greg. And I can tell you, obviously, anything that any fundraising that has to do with people coming together, Lions, we're all in the same boat, right? So all of our fundraisers, we can't do. So we've been sort of pivoting because we have different streams of revenue just for situations like this. Thank goodness that we had leadership that was that forward thinking. So when it comes to our revenue, our Lions giving, we forecasted about 66% less because it's very difficult. Nobody could get together for a year, right? At least. So that is down, but individuals have been able to give, and that is what sustained us through most of this. So we've been lucky that we have not had to close our doors or lay anybody off during this. As far as services, we were able to get 3 classes in. Our fiscal year is the same as Lions, so it starts July 1st. So we were able to get 3 classes in before we had to shut down in Michigan. And then, let me see, November, December, and January, we only did home deliveries to areas where people were, the numbers were a little bit steadier with COVID. Our orientation and mobility did the same thing. We did at-home training, and then we did our summer camp virtually. And we've added a few more virtual programs for people who are blind and visually impaired. So right now, as we speak today, is issue day. So it's our first class back on campus. They came 2 days ago, and they are on their first walk today. So they've been issued their dogs, and they are going for their very first walk with their new leader dog. So keep your fingers crossed, go get your immunizations, and hopefully we can keep the classes coming. So, but right now we're working at about 50% capacity in our classes, so we can keep 6 feet apart. Our GDMIs are wearing, I call them Britney Spears microphones and little speakers that hook under their belts, because they have to keep 6 feet apart and wear masks. So it's very hard to train somebody. Oh, Greg. Very hard to train somebody when you can't see their face, especially if you have a hearing impairment. So it's been innovative. It's been an innovative time, but we've still been able to serve.
Beth, if there's one more question, we will have to kind of close it here in a moment. Sure. Because we're getting ready to have a board meeting, but is there another question?
Last question.
I don't think
I had one more, Rudy.
Yeah,
Yes,
go
Gaylord.
ahead. Yeah, go ahead, Gaylord. Yeah, Gaylord, you're.
I find it very interesting to see which establishments permit dogs and which ones do not. And I wonder if you have any kind of program of working with various establishments around the country to encourage the admission of leader dogs, particularly given the fact that some may prohibit any type of dog being entered into their establishment.
Greg wants to touch on this one.
I can speak to that in Texas anyway. I don't know what Leader Dog does nationally. Beth may expand on it, but in Texas, and I think also in Missouri, by law, an institution must allow the entry of a service dog, including by definition, dogs that are in training. So we're able to take our puppies into any establishment in the state of Texas.
So there's the Americans with Disabilities Act.
Great.
Right. The Americans with Disabilities Act says that any kind of service dog must be admitted. And they have some other bits and pieces in there as well. But what is universal is if the dog is not well behaved, if the dog is not contained, if the dog is in any way getting in, disruptive, they may ask that dog and that person to leave. But if it's a truly well-trained, professionally trained dog, it shouldn't be doing that. So, but the Americans with Disabilities Act is what that falls under, and we hope that all of our clients, are understanding of what that is. But our clients run up against it all the time.
Well, with that, thank you very much again.
That's
Beth,
very
for
helpful.
the presentation.
You're very welcome, you all. Thank you so much. Everybody be safe, be good, and continue your good work, because I know we're all facing challenges. So bravo to you guys.
Thank you. And also, Beth, thank you for rescheduling again. All of us remember that we did have this program scheduled during that week when the bad winter storm hit. And so we did not meet, but Beth has been kind enough, gracious enough to reschedule. So we thank you so much for that.
Anytime, you guys, and hopefully next time I'll see you at your sporting clays event, because I love to do that.
Oh, wonderful. Okay.
All right, thanks, you guys.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Greg, for setting this up too.
Well, with that,
Thanks a lot, Greg.
yeah, let me ask